Okay.
Yes. So hello, everyone. Welcome to Symbiosis 2. This is Nathalie's sharing session, and she's going to talk to us about how to design a letter. And over to you, Nathalie.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we will talk about illuminated letters. I am new to the topic. Definitely don't consider myself an expert, and that would take too many lives to actually become an expert at illuminating, but I'm learning and I'm just in love with the subject. I started doing it, I don't know how long, I don't think it is 2 months, like a month and a half ago, something like that, when I first got my gilding supplies. And I just became very obsessed with the whole thing, and I would just spend hours looking at like Pinterest and like archive.org and all of these beautiful images, trying to just wrap my head around the whole art form. And I quickly started just trying it myself, and I actually did one of my exhibition pieces with, well, two with that style, or kind of all of them, because there is another one that is also with gold leaf in a bit of a different style. So I think to get started, I will just explain or show you a little bit of what illuminated letters are. And then the idea of this session is to sketch. So we are not going to paint and do a finished piece because that would take too long. I just want to sketch and show you what my process is and how you can do it as well. So I'm going to switch to my other camera, and I will run to get my pieces because I forgot, so that I can show you those here as well. So just give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Heather, you must be very proud of Nathalie.
Yes, I was just typing it in the chat. I mean, if you could dial into what she just said, that she maybe was 2 months playing around these. I've been playing around with these since 2004, right? There's just so much passion, and I can't even put into words. I was typing in the chat that it makes me well up with emotion, They're just amazing.
Yeah. Okay, back to you, Nathalie. Yeah. Thank you,
Yes.
Heather.
Okay, so illuminated letters are basically initials, like capital letters, that are very decorative. They have tons of decoration. They can be something like this that is super saturated. They would be generally used in manuscript pages like this one, and they would even have like a really nice border around. They could be historiated. So this one, for example, the text talks about a farm, and then we have a related image inside. They could also have creatures. Those were called like inhabited initials. So they could have flowers or creatures or anything like that. This one is more simple. They just did that like little ugly creature inside, and that was it, and it looks super cool. So in this one, something that I like is that you don't need to worry so much about not doing a lot. Like we are always trying to edit our work, like I don't need to go too far. Do I add something else? Oh no, I shouldn't. But with illuminated initials, it's hard to go wrong with it, because if you see these people, they would just throw in every single idea that they had at the moment, and it looked so cool. So you don't need to worry that much about editing, to do things simple, because here they would actually saturate their letters a lot. So you can go with something complex like this, or you can do stuff that is more simple like this. In my initials, I went for something that was less saturated, but you can play around with it and do whatever you want. Here we can see the gold leaf. Illuminated initials would use gold leaf just to give them that shine. So I have been doing some of that using Miniatum ink and gold leaf. And here we have just some of the beautiful letters from Heather. So Heather does a really beautiful style of illuminated letters. She uses a lot of botanical elements in her work and also animals. So this also is part of what inspires me to create my own letters. Yeah, so I don't think that on my style I'm attached to a single era like Victorian or, Celtic or anything like that, because I'm just exploring right now. So I just go around and I try and I mix things, and I'm just having fun with it. So here are some of the ones I created. So this one was like my attempt to do something kind of historiated. And then here I was playing with illusionistic effects here with the golden. This one is more in like Heather's style. This one, and then I did the H for Heather, and I didn't even realize that I did her style with her letter. And so this is, I feel like a combination of what I have seen, but in kind of my own style. So you don't need to attach to anything that you see online. Just is an expression of art. So just do whatever you feel looks nice and, feels like you. So it's about playing around with it. I did a couple more when I was practicing. So they are very different. They have gold leaf there. And, it's just about having fun and exploring. And I feel like it really helps me to do this, like this practice of just going online and seeing a bunch of letters all day. That way I kind of put ideas in my head. And then when I'm designing, they come back to me. And I remember like, oh, I want to try this or that I saw the other day, and I will just do it. So that's just an introduction to what we will be doing. Let me pull this aside. Okay, so now I'm going to work in this book. All you need, if you want to follow along, is pencil, eraser, and maybe a ruler. And that's it, and a sharpener, but that's it. Of course, you need paper. I'm going to use this dotted notebook because it's just easier. Instead of having to, use the ruler for everything, you just have it here and you don't need to worry that much about measuring. When I'm at this stage of sketching, I try to do it in a very relaxed way. So I don't care about perfection. Like if you see here, I have like 1,000 lines there, but I don't care. I usually sketch without thinking that this will be a final piece. I'm just exploring. And then if I decide like I want to paint this one, I like it, then I will usually move it to another sketch where I will actually take care of things, measure and do all as perfect as I can so that I can transfer it to my watercolor paper. So this is just the part where I kind of have fun and explore. So this is just some exploration that I did earlier this week. Not everything works. Like this one, this F, I don't really like it because I feel like it is too heavy on one side, and then the other one is completely empty. So this one, I don't really like it, but I was able to explore this kind of ribbon effect. So I still feel like I learned something from it. So sketching, you don't have to be perfect. is just exploring. So we are going to, here is another one. This I was trying more of a Victorian style from some like embroidery designs that I was seeing with ribbons and flowers and like pearls. So I was trying to put that together in the letter. So it's a lot of fun and exploring here. So let's do some of that together. So let's see. I will show you some of the inspiration. So for example, I have been seeing a lot of these images. That is what inspired that that I just showed you. It was around this style. And I want to try to do a letter that inside has these ribbons. So I'm going to go with this one that is more tight, because I have already done some that are loose like this one. So I will try one like this. I will zoom you in a little bit. There. I will turn on a lamp to see if that helps with helps you see better. Let me know. Okay, so let's try that first. That is like my initial idea, and I usually just want to try one thing, and then from there I will explore maybe other elements, but this is all I know when I get started, that I want to try that. Now when I am designing freely like this, I can choose whatever letter best goes with what I want to do. Sometimes, you know, if you are doing a manuscript and you have to use that first initial, then that's different. But here I just choose whatever I want. So I'm working with Lombardic initials. You can find tons of alphabets for illuminated initials. Just go to Pinterest and type in like Lombardic initials, and you will get a bunch of ideas. Like this one. So this one I took it from a handout from Heather, and it's been super helpful. So with this design, since I want to do that ribbon, I feel like I want to do something that has like a straight line somewhere, like this one's or this one, something like that. I could use anything, but I want to do it in a straight way, since I'm just like getting started with the style. I feel like later I can have more fun with it, but right now I just want to do something like this. So let's go with the I. To do these Lombardic initials, you don't need to study a lot, just copy the initial, you know, that's not the important part. That is just our canvas. So I'm just going to copy that right here. I try to not get too close to the corners of my page, because, you know, I want to have that freedom to go around it with the design. So I'm going to design a little bit down on the page, like here maybe. The I starts with curve line here, so it's not completely straight. It has a little bit of a curve, like that. So the I is very simple. You just do like 2 parallel curves like this, and then another one on the bottom and another one on the top. They're all curvy lines. Like that. Okay, now these initials have like these little dots on the corners. Those dots, you can exaggerate them or do them like small. Heather usually exaggerates those ends to gild in them. So that's a really cool option that you can do. So I'm just going to kind of outline the entire letter. Okay. So there I have my letter. Now, when I do these ribbons, my usual technique, and I will do that here, is to do like a zigzag like this, and then do another one right next to it. And then I kind of, you know,
Nathalie has dropped out of the meeting. Nathalie, probably a spotty. Let me pause the.
and takes forever for my internet to connect again. I'm just
Yeah.
hoping I don't lose power completely, but
It's fine. You can always come back.
yeah. So I was explaining a little bit about how I usually do ribbons. So I just then, you know, connect the bottoms like these corners like that. And then you already have, you know, the design there. Now, as I was practicing that type of ribbon that is more tight, like, you know, it's not this loose. I'm going to go back to that page. I was having a hard time using that technique that I usually use. So what I end up doing, and I have done this in the past, like to figure out shapes and shadows and stuff, is to just do what I need to put in the paper. So I just take, this is like a wooden stick, and I will just wrap this in there and see it with my own eyes, like in physical, so that I understand what I need to draw. Because if you see like that image is super small and it's kind of hard to understand it. And when I was trying to design it with that other technique, I was having like a hard time. So I'm just doing a little test here to see if I can better understand it. Okay. So now I kind of have a ribbon that I can use to see what is it that I'm going to draw. There. So it's definitely not perfect, but it kind of gives me what I need. You know, I want to do something that is like this, you know, like close together, not so spread, just close together. And I needed to understand what lines I need to do, and even the shadows, you know, like this is my sheet little paper. So I'm going to try that. My point is that I want to put this in here. Okay. So I just want to put that inside there. And this is just easier for me if I kind of see it in physical. So what I'm seeing here is that what I need to do is these shapes, these ones, I will just do those. And then I have to connect them with these lines that go like to the inside of my shape. Okay, so I'm going to start with these ones first. I will start from the bottom. I'm going to change my camera angle because when I write, I usually do this. So I'm going to change my angle a little bit to make sure you can see what I'm doing at all times. Let me just, I'm left-handed and I have a weird way to hold my pen. So let's see, maybe like this, like on the side, you can see it better. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start with that first shape. It's like this, is like an elongated S curve, like the one for copper plate, something like that, where you do like a very slight curve first, then kind of a straight, and then another slight curve. And I'm going to not put like too much distance in between them. Like the distance here will be less than the like thickness of my ribbon. So I'm going to go in here. But then each time I am drawing the front side of the ribbon, I want to do the same distance that I have here. Something like that. So I'm just going to do that all the way till the end. Like that. And I'm missing one here. Okay. So there I have kind of this, the front side. And now I need to do these lines that go inside, like this one and this one. So these ones would go here. So what we're doing is just continuing this curve and then continuing this one like that. Okay. So there it already looks like this. So I'm going to put it away. And now I'm going to work with some shadows. Actually, let me bring this back. So if we see the shadows, they are on the sides and then the center is light. So I'm going to do that. And then the inside is pretty much dark. So that's what I'm going to do. Whenever I'm in the painting stage, I will also work on my paint, on my watercolors using the same shadow effect. So I'm just doing this with some lines. I'm not being too perfect about it because I know that, you know, this is just a sketch and I can then work on a really nice like gradient to make it pop with the shadows. Okay. And now I'm just going to paint the inside in a darker shade. I think that for the inside, these portions, like the corners, could also be darker because they are kind of getting shadow from the front side of the ribbon. So I feel like those could also be a little darker. Okay. Okay, so there I have my ribbon. So that's all I kind of had in my head with this one, like to begin. But I definitely need to add something else. I could totally leave it, you know, like I said, everything goes. If you want to just do that, that's fine. Like I could gild all around it and do some really cool colors inside, and that would look pretty. But I want to add more. So one thing that I learned on the glittering vine class with Heather was to put these straight lines inside like curves, like she did here. So I want to do that. And actually I have been using that in some designs where I do those lines inside. So I have this idea of putting a line inside the ribbon. So it will go through the ribbon and then through the letter like this. So I'm going to give that a try. So I'm just going to kind of see where my center is. I think it's around here and here. So I'm going to do a line. I will try to leave like the same distance on each side because it will go like beyond the letter. There. I'm going to go back a little. Okay, so the idea is for this to go inside my ribbon. And then outside. Like that. And now I will make it a little thicker. Okay, like that. And I want to add something to the ends because I don't like when it ends just like that. You know, I the other day I was playing with some scrolls, and I did this decoration at the ends, and I really like it. So I'm going to do something similar for this one. So I'm just going to do like a circle on each side. And then I will do like this little drop. Like that, okay? So now I have these two ends here that are kind of empty around. So I'm going to add some leaves to decorate that. And you could do anything, like you could do flowers here, like roses around it, acanthus leaves, something, you know, like this could go around it. So there are many possibilities for what you can do to decorate this one outside. I'm going to try to do just some very simple leaf design. So 1 second. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go out from the center here and kind of wrap this around. Okay. And then I'm going to do another one on the side like this. And the leaves that I'm going to do are very, very simple. I'm just going to do something like that. It's like a little drop as well. Something like that. I can do some that are smaller just to fill in a space, and some that are a little bigger. And I wanted to do something like a simple leaf only because I have been doing a lot of flowers on my letters. And, you know, I need to change things up and not do only flowers, but, you know, try other things. Okay, I'm going to do the same on the bottom, and this is completely free. Like, you don't need to do it exactly like I'm doing it. Just feel free and do whatever you feel is right. Okay, so I always kind of look back, like every time I finish adding something, I just pause and I look at it and I ask myself if I'm happy with it or if I feel like it needs anything else. Sometimes I don't know the answer, so I just try to plan as much as I can with the gilding and all of that, and I just get started. Like with the P, I had no idea what to do inside, and I didn't plan this decoration at the beginning. So I just went for it, and when I was at the stage of, doing something to the inside, I decided to do this decoration. So you don't need to have everything figured out when you're sketching, because sometimes the adding colors will kind of help you visualize what else you need to add to the design. So this is not set in a stone, things can change. I could even at the end decide to do something different here, maybe acanthus leaves or anything. So I will just plan as much as I can, and then I might decide to change things a little bit as I'm working on it. With this one, I think I'm happy with this at a sketching stage. The one thing that I want to plan right now is the gilding. So I feel like we have a lot of options. I could gild this kind of a stick that goes inside, and I think that will look really cool. So that's one option. I could just gild all of these leaves. That could also look really pretty, or I could gild the outside of the letter, or you can just do them all if you want. But gold leaf supplies are not that cheap, so I usually try to pick one. And don't do like very big areas, so that I don't use a lot of the supplies. But with this one, I would probably go with this stick. I feel like that could give it enhance the effect even more. So I would probably try that. But if you want to try it, just do whatever you feel is right. Okay, so that's the first one. That is done. I'm going to go back a little. So that is one letter. And you can try that same thing, like inspire yourself with this and do it in another letter, so that you can kind of get a little more creative. So now I'm going to do another one. We are going to work with the P. So I'm going to do a similar shape to this. I actually have one here. So it's more like this one. So a little more simple. The one that I did for the exhibition had more like curves and stuff in here. But really, this is just a basic shape, and you can go crazy with it. You can curl these sides and just do whatever you want to express yourself with the basic shape that we are getting. In this case, I will actually do something very similar to what we have here. Now, when I'm doing the letters, I usually start with the center so that I get the proportions right. So that's what I'm going to do with this P. Let me just move my laptop a little bit there. Okay, so since the P has this long portion that goes down, I will try to plan, when I'm doing the center, plan to leave a space for that. So let's see, I'm going to do it here. And in the one that I did for the exhibition, I left the center very open because I needed a space for my portrait. But in this one, that's not the plan. And I will show you what I have in mind in a minute, but I don't really need that much in the center. I'm going to do it very standard. But that's something that I like about these letters, like A, D, B, C, that I can play with the spacing so that I can use it for different purposes. Like if I wanted to do like a very big flower in the inside, I would do this bigger just so that I can, showcase my flower even more. So you can really have fun with these letters. Okay, so that is my center. And that just makes it easier for me to get all the proportions of my letter. So I'm going to start with this side. Then here, these letters have like a curve like that. That like I said, you can exaggerate it or keep it simple. I'm going to keep it more on the simple side. And I will go down quite a lot here. And I try to make this as thick as this, like give it the same width in this side that it has in this side. Since I'm just like sketching very freely, I'm not going to measure it. But once I'm actually planning to paint the letter, I will probably measure it to make sure they are the same. And here at the bottom, it's an opportunity to do something nice. Like you could extend it and turn it into a leaf. There are many things you can do with this end. For this one, I will just curl it like that. Okay. And we have the basic shape. Now, what I want to try like last week, I was playing around with this. These are moldings. They were in some paper like from archive.org. And I really like them. And I just started studying this without knowing. I knew I wanted them for a letter, but I didn't know which letter or what was going to be my design. So part of my study is not just sitting and doing letters, because it's not like that. You just don't jump into the design. You need to study a little bit so that the ideas come into your head, and then you want to use them on your designs. So I spent days that I just study elements without thinking about the letters. So here I was just doing that. And this, I took this I didn't invent them. I was just using images that I found on archive.org, and I was just playing with them, trying to replicate and just, develop skills and learn new things. So for this letter, I want to use one of these. Actually, I have used one of them in the A that I did here at the beginning. Here, I was doing something like that, where I turned this into kind of a column. So we're going to do that with the B. And I'm going to use something similar to this one, but like this. Okay, so that's pretty much what we are doing. Okay, so let's do it. I'm going to zoom in there. Okay, so I'm going to start on the center of the letter. I'm just going to kind of visualize the center without measuring. But like I said, once I'm into the actual final sketch, I would probably be a little more careful about, putting it on the center. And I'm going to erase some of these lines, not completely, but I don't want them to be in the way so much. There. So I'm just following what I saw on this image, that it has like a smaller center there. And then it goes out with some acanthus leaves. I'm going to make them a little bigger than what that design had. So something like this. And I want them to go kind of to the inside here so that I can then start my letter and the effect will look cooler, like it will be more prominent. So there I have one. And for the acanthus, what I'm doing, I'm going to do it big here, is pretty much a curve. And then I go in once with like an S curve, and then I do this. So it's very, very simple. You don't need to like know how to do acanthus leaves to do these ones because they are very basic. It's just a very basic leaf. Like that. And then I'm going to do one in the center that will be, this is kind of side facing. The other one will be more like front facing, like that. Something like this. Very simple, but it will look nice once we finish the design. Like that. And now I'm going to outline my letter again. So that's the plan. I'm going to do the same on this side, and I will try to put it at the same height of this one. So around there. So I'm just repeating what I did on the other side. Like that. And again, I'm going to outline once again my letter. And I want to do one more here. I could leave it like that, you know, and do some other decoration here, but I just really like that style, so I want to go for it and do another one here. And like I've said, you know, with this, there are no rules, so we can do anything we want, and at the end of the day, it will look fine. And, you know, I have these letters that I don't like. It's not like absolutely everything will work, you know. I have designed some letters that I feel like are not that pretty and that I don't want to paint. Maybe I want to do them again, but doing something a little different. So it's not like absolutely everything that you design will be like, oh, wow, I love it and I want to paint it. But that's why we sketch, right? Because we're just having fun and learning what we like, what styles we like. So that's the plan. I feel like this looks weird here, so I'm going to just move this down a little so that I can keep the effect. Otherwise, I feel like I kind of lose that. So I'm just going to move this. Like that. Okay. So there we have the basic idea for this letter. So once I'm at this stage, I just decide what is next. I don't have the plan since the beginning because, you know, I just let the letter kind of guide me. So for this one, we could do all sorts of things. You know, I could put even like a creature inside, like a rabbit or something nice like that. I could do flowers or leaves, or I could do a pattern. I really like those. I did one in this letter where I did a pattern, and I even have like several images on my Pinterest board of patterns from that time that I want to explore. And, you know, doing it here could be a really nice thing to do. You can really go either way. I'm going to try some leaves that I have been seeing that are really nice. Let me show you. They are simple, but they are super cute. These ones. So I want to try this type of leaf. Something like this, where they are inside and outside as well. So those leaves, I don't know what they are called, Heather, if you know, but they are something like this. They are very basic. So I'm going to use those here. And I'm just going to do them around, like I don't want to do it symmetrically or anything like that. I will just kind of have fun with it. Something like this. And I can do them in different sizes. They don't need to be all the same size. Like that. And I'm going to do some down here as well, because I feel like this portion is always kind of empty. So I'm going to put some of these leaves here. Something like that. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Okay, so I feel like that one, just like that, looks really nice. I'm trying something different with the molding design here. And I'm also experimenting with those leaves. So I like to do that now that I'm in this like exploring period. I like to try to put something new on my letters so that I learn on each one of them. So in this one, I feel like doing this is very different, and it will also be very interesting to paint. I think I would put like a solid color in this background, or I could leave it white and just do the leaves in multiple colors. Like I have seen a lot of these painted in like blue, red, yellow, like very colorful. So I could try that as well. For the gilding, I think I could gild some of the leaves, not all of them, just some of them. And I would like to gild these like centers right here. So that is like my initial plan for the gilding. And I need to plan that because, you know, gilding comes in the early stages of the artwork. So I usually just do ink first. I ink this with waterproof ink. Then I gild all of the portions that I want to gild. And then I paint. So that's why I need to kind of plan that ahead of time. So there we have that one, and I will try to do one more and see if we can. It's 7:53, and I might not finish it, I don't know, but I will give it a try. So I will show you what is my inspiration for this one. So these actually are the images that led me to this one when I was just exploring. So there are these kind of wallpapers that are super cute. They are like acanthus leaf scrolls. And I like them because when you're doing like acanthus leaves, they are usually very complex, like this portion right here, where it is a little more difficult. And that's even like, for me, more difficult to paint because there are lots of details. But these ones are very simple. And I feel like at the same time, they're super nice. I like how they are combined with the flowers. So I want to use that for a letter. So in this case, I'm going to go with the E. Let me show you that E, this one. Okay, so I'm going to go with that shape, and I will try to draw this one a little faster because I don't want to go too long. So I'm going to start with this like straight portion, and again I'm going to leave a space because I know I want to do the scrolls, so I don't want to limit myself whenever I'm actually doing that portion of the design. And sometimes I get the proportions wrong, you know, maybe I do this too long or anything, and then I just erase and I change it. Okay, this letter is like this, is goes higher. So I'm going to keep that in mind. And like I said, I always try to plan the inside first, because if I go like too far, then it will look bad. So I try to plan the interior of my letter first, and kind of that shape, you know, try to follow along with that shape. And this is kind of symmetrical, not a 100%. If you pay close attention to that letter that I'm using as a guide, it's not perfect, like 100% symmetrical, but I will try. Okay. So there I have my center, and now I'm going to, I usually use the same width for these thick portions, and at least, you know, for this size that I'm using. So that just makes it easier for me. You know, when I'm practicing, I feel like it's easier for me if all my letters are the same size. But once I'm moving them to the final paper, I might decide to make them bigger. Okay, and now we have this horizontal line on the center. It starts smaller, and then it kind of gets bigger here, like that. I don't think that is completely at the center, but I'm gonna leave it like that. And you know, once I do my final sketch, I can make sure I got that right. Okay. So there we have the letter. And now I want to use two elements. One is the scrolls, and then I want to use these daisies. I usually don't jump into the letter right away. I would spend some time just studying. And I actually did a letter very similar to this one the other day, but I decided not to do something like this for right now because it's too much and it would take me too long. But if you can see, this is my exploration. So I would play with some angles for the daisies. I would play with the scrolls, and that kind of helps me to decide how I want to incorporate that on my letter. So just play around with the elements first. That's what I do. I play around with it, and then I actually put them into a letter. Unless you are doing something you already did and you know exactly how you want to use it. But if it's something new, or I just want to you know, explore a little deeper into it, I just do some here. But for time, I'm just going to jump into the letter. So the idea with the scrolls is to just do some curls around it, like wherever you want. It doesn't need to be anything specific. I do know that I want them to go in and out of the letter and not just like around it, unless I wanted to do something inside, you know, like a pattern or something. But I want this to be the main character of my letter. So I'm going to start around here. I'm going to go behind the letter for this portion. You could continue and then erase. Like that. I feel like I did that one too big for what I want. Okay. Okay, so that will be my basic shape. And now at this moment, I will decide where I want my flowers. So I want to put one here, like inside. Let's see, we can have one here that is looking like to a side. I can do one in front view right here, and we can do another one here. So, you know, that can change. I am very early on this sketch, so I might choose to put more or, you know, do more scrolls, but we will see. I probably will leave it just so that I can demonstrate. So I'm going to start with the flowers and I will just erase that portion. And I will do them really simple. But, you know, once I'm into the details of my sketch, I would think about them deeper. So with these flowers, when they are viewed from the side, you get some petals that look as if they were like thinner. And you can see that they are kind of going always, like they're quite crazy. It's not perfect at all. So we can just wing it. It really doesn't need to be anything like a specific. There are some that go behind. So I'm going to do some of those that look kind of thin because they are viewed from the side. So something like that. This one I will do it in a like front view. So I will do a full circle, not like the other one that I did more of an oval shape to give it like that effect. Okay. I was in Mabel's daisies yesterday and they were so cute. So perfect. I need you to paint this one, Mabel. You would do such an amazing work. Okay, I'm just going to go really like fast. Okay. So I'm missing one here in the inside. Like that. Okay, so now I'm going to work on my scrolls. Just for like a basic concept, for the acanthus leaves, this is basically like an acanthus leaf, but a very simple one. So the acanthus leaf, I'm going to do one here. That is like super simple. So it is basically this type of shape, and it has some lobes that go to the sides like this, and it usually has one in the center. For this style of scrolls, what I will do basically is to just elongate like this portion and do some lobes here and there, something like that. So it will be very, very simple. Let's try it here. So I'm going to do one lobe here and one here. You don't need to do it like this all the time. Sometimes you can have just one on one side, maybe two. And as I'm going to the end of a scroll, I like to do more of this shape, but just half of it. So I'm going to try that here. And you can do this with like the very basic shape, or you can do a more kind of complex acanthus. And here at the end, I can do this kind of drop, and it gives it like a really cool effect. So if you see, this is very simple. You can just try it. I feel like before the mentoring, I wasn't too comfortable or confident to try anything with acanthus leaves, because I felt like you needed to know so much to do that. But during the mentoring, I practiced them a lot, just referencing images online. I also went through some handouts from this Instagram Trichiva. He does really cool acanthus leaves, and I went over one of his handouts, and I just practice a lot of acanthus with that, and also with the handouts from her, and that kind of helped me feel more confident. And even though like these scrolls are way too simple, like they are not like the ones on the handouts, they are way simpler, but just knowing that I went through some study makes me feel a little more confident to just use acanthus leaves on my design, even if it is something simple or a little more complex. I just feel like I can give it a try. And you don't need to purchase handouts, even though I do recommend those a lot. They were really nice, but there is a lot in like Pinterest and stuff. You know, you can just reference images. I even one day followed a tutorial on YouTube of someone doing an acanthus, and I just did the exact same acanthus that that person did. And that helps me kind of understand the basic shape. Okay. So I think I will almost get to the time that I told Heather, like 1 hour and 10 minutes that I told Dorothy actually. Okay. I don't like this. Okay. Now something that I will add just to fill in some spaces are some leaves like the ones that we did on the eye, but smaller, something like this, just to help me kind of fill the space. And it is something very simple that is not taking me like a lot of time. Okay, so there we have like the basic sketch for this one. The only thing that I need to do is like plan my gilding and maybe the inside. So for this one, since I have so much elements around, one thing that I like is like similar to this one where I had a lot around it and through the letter. So I want to do the same where I gild all the outline of the letter. So that's what I will do with this one. I will just gild all the outline, and then inside I could keep it in a solid color or like a gradient, or I could do some decoration. I will probably keep it in like a solid color and then do some small decoration. Like I could do some little dots like this, or some smaller scrolls. And so sometimes the inside is what I decide at the very end. But that's basically the sketch. And that's all I had planned to show you. I hope you can, give it a try. I really would love to see some of you playing with that and showing me what you did.
Thank you, Nathalie. That was awesome. Very good presentation. Yay!
Yay!
So great.
Thank you.
I'll send you the chat, Nathalie. There's a lot going on, a lot of chatting, a lot of talking. Thank you for breaking it down for us. You did great. And I'm just amazed you went through 3 different designs in an hour. So good. Does anyone have questions or comments for Nathalie?
I'm so thrilled, Nathalie, to watch you do it and to watch your process unfold. And you were just so honest with everything that you did with your research and your studies. And let me reiterate to people who haven't watched Nathalie's story that she was new to watercolor. She was new to gilding. She's been playing with illuminated letters for maybe two or 3 months tops. And acanthus was new. And just the passion and the creativity and the hunger. I tell my students all the time that your number one thing that you need to bring to a class is passion. And I think, Nathalie, you just shared a sense of passion and curiosity, and that was remarkable. Brilliant job. Brilliant.
Thank you, Heather.
Was it you, Heather, that told us, Nathalie, you were working with Daniel Smith dot cuts?
I did, yeah. Everything, like all of this was done with the Daniel Smith dot card, and I will use it until it's completely done. Because
we're all so ashamed. Nathalie, we are so ashamed of ourselves because we have all the watercolors and we are not doing half the things that you have been doing. And you've been so diligent to study and to learn, and that's really incredible, so inspiring. Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Anyone has questions for Nathalie? No questions. You know, I remember in not Symbiosis, when Nathalie and I met for the very first time, and I got to know her. I heard her heart, what kind of aspirations she has. So I just felt, Nathalie, that you're such a special person. And I remember telling you, we're going to make you famous.
Thank you.
And I am just so glad that everybody else now gets a chance to know you and to see you, what a gem you are, so precious. So, okay, there's a question. What is the waterproof ink that you use? Maria wants to know.
I use the McCaffrey brown ink.
Okay.
I got that one from Paper Ink Arts. And I just use that one all the time. But something good is that for the P, I didn't use that one. I just used a Copic. What's the name of that? Like a multi-liner Copic pen. Yeah. And I did it because I did that one at the last minute on the middle of the night, and I didn't have time to just sit around waiting for ink to dry. I just wanted to move through it really quick so that I could, finish it, or I wanted to leave it gilded, like with the mini atom ink that night so that I could finish it the next day. So I just went for it with that liner, and it looks exactly the same. So you don't need to use ink. You can go with any waterproof pen that you have.
Pen. Yeah. Okay.
Someone said there they wanted to see how I painted and gilded the pieces. In the exhibition, I added process videos for each one of my pieces. So you can get like a snapshot of every single stage of my process if you want to see how it actually goes.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have any guides on how to not make the letters look lopsided?
What do you mean with lopsided?
It's not symmetrical. Like one side is heavier, one side is, they are not symmetrical, lopsided.
I think first use a paper that is dotted or that has squares so that you can guide yourself with that. That would be the first thing. If you don't have that, then I would just do some lines with a ruler so that you make sure you are getting the proportions right. And like I said, try to keep the width on each side the same. So like here, I made sure that the width here was the same here and the same here. So just try to keep that. And like I have mentioned, I try to do the centers first, to draw the center first, so that I can kind of make sure I'm going to get that shape right. But practice, if today the letter end up looking a little weird, it didn't look like the ones that I was showing you, just look for Lombardic initials on Pinterest and start replicating. You can print some and just go on top of it with another paper, and trace them. And little by little, your hands will understand what they need to do.
Great, thank you. Very good tips. Any other questions? Super tips. Thank you, Nathalie. Heather, is there anything you want to add before we close off?
I just will reiterate, it was just amazing, and I will say this to Nathalie and to Mabel and to Rachel, is the discoveries that you make on your own are the ones that you're keeping. And I think that all three of them have just been amazing with study and exploration. And I think that's what is just so impressive to me, is like, we give them this assignment, we know we have to exhibit at the end of a period of time, but you just don't realize how much mental power they've all put into this process. And it has just been remarkable to watch this. And I mean, Natalie, thank you for sharing that process. I think everybody's inspired and we all want to just draw illuminated letters right now.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to try. I for a long time was afraid to try them because at first I didn't have the gilding supply, so I would always think like they won't look that pretty. And I actually did some before I had my gilding supplies. But just try it. Like I just had a lot of fun with a pencil, so you don't need to have all the supplies, you don't need to have the watercolors. You can just start trying it, and then if you feel like you really like to express yourself with that, then you can think about purchasing what you need for it. But don't be afraid. Doing this exhibition really pushed me to just learn new things and be kind of fearless with what I wanted to do. And there is a lot of growth on that, on just jumping in and trying something new. I could just do quotes every day and they would be really pretty, but I would be doing the same thing over and over again and not growing so much. So just try stuff that you see online or in Instagram, and I'm sure it will go great. And I just want to thank Heather for introducing me to the Gilding and Illuminated Initials world. It's been really amazing, and I am very motivated to continue exploring and learning new techniques. And really you're a huge inspiration for all of us. And I am just so grateful that you accepted to be part of my journey and our journey. Thank you.
Thank you, sweetie. And honestly, Dorothy, the whole thing is just so emotional. And I wouldn't have traded the experience for anything. Thank you, Natalie and Rachel and Mabel. It's just been just unbelievable. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Yeah, I love you guys too.
Yeah. And thanks to Dorothy as well for opening doors for all of us.
Sure. Yeah, it's been my joy, my privilege. I'm so glad the world has met you three. Yeah, and under the guidance of Heather, I think you have really flourished, and you're all so special. I know this is just the beginning, so it's great. It's going to be great. And I think all of us, we are looking out for what else are you going to produce. You can follow them on Instagram. And okay, we have some more questions actually. Does anything ever discourage you from doing your art? And if so, how do you get back on track?
I think that, well, we all three of us went through mental blocks during our mentoring where we had no idea what we wanted to create. Like the week that I did a modern style with like a silhouette, that week I was a little stuck with what was the next thing that I wanted to explore, like to really dive in and learn. And what I do is to just look for inspiration in nature. Like that is what works for me, to try to catch something outside that inspires me and that I want to try. And another thing is to just go online. Like I basically just go into Pinterest and they already know what I like. So in the front page, I usually see something that catches my eye and I go in and then I get into a rabbit hole for some art form that looks really cool. And so I just start exploring and exploring until I find something that inspires me so that I can give it a try. And I think that is important. Just give it a try. If you're in a mental block and you just spend months just looking at those beautiful things that someone else is doing, but you don't take paper and pencil and give it, a try, you will stay there forever. So just push forward, try whatever you want, try to look for inspiration around you so that you can get out of those mental blocks. And if I am trying something and it's not working, that could make me feel bad, and I could feel like unmotivated. But just keep going. It's not gonna be perfect the first time you do something. Like with copperplate, a lot of people, like I have been teaching, and a lot of people try it and they feel like they are so bad at it, and they don't know that their results are better than mine at the beginning, but they feel like they are doing so bad, and after the course they just stop. This is not for me. But we all started there. We saw that beginning that was super difficult, that everything looked so ugly, our arm hurt from the writing. It was difficult. Starting these scripts is not easy, but we pushed through and we are here. So if we were able to conquer some of these difficult scripts, we can learn anything we want. We really can. If we are disciplined and we try and we look for inspiration and we get mentors, we try to learn from something, ask for advice, we can definitely learn any skill that we want.
Very well said. Okay, well, I wish we could chat forever, but in 10 more minutes, I think Rachel is supposed to come back. Is it Rachel? Yes, Rachel is supposed to come back and
No, not 10 minutes, Dorothy.
not 10 minutes. At 11, yeah, in half an hour.
I was like, oh my God, now?
No, half an hour, sorry. Rachel is going to come back and talk to us about her mentoring journey. We can carry on the conversation then. So thank you everyone for joining. I'm going to stop the recording here. Yes.